How is it that I haven't featured the Vampire Coast at all on this channel so far in Immortal Empire's Early Access? Well, probably because I didn't play them very much in Warhammer 2. And even though I enjoy their kind of faction lore and some of their aesthetics and some of the silliness of the gunpowder undead zombie pirate horde, I just don't really enjoy their slow playstyle. But today we're going to be taking them against Tzeentch. Let's take a look at the builds. I've gone with a heavy crab rush here, Silostra leading the way. We've got another rotting Leviathan there, 2 rotting Prometheans with the gunnery mobs on the back, some deckhands with a single pistol mob up front, 3 bomber mobs, and some bats up in the air. 4 fell bats in total? 3 fell bats. Yes, 3. Anyway, for Tzeentch, we've got Exalted Lord of Change here, a bunch of blues up front, second line of pinks, some Forsaken in the back, Cultist here, he's got Wand of Whimsy. No, actually. I think by mistake, my opponent here took Kindle Flame and no spells. But anyway, some Furies of Tzeentch and some Screamers also up in the air here to contest my own air units. And let's see how it goes. The Crab Rush is incoming, so in my recent Tzeentch is a Nightmare video, a lot of people responded that the heavy armor shield rush is the way to go against Tzeentch, and I definitely agree with the current roster setups. Of course, discounting the halberds that we know are coming with the Champions of Chaos DLC. Those would absolutely change this equation, but perhaps not in this specific matchup, because the access to armor-piercing guns on and you know, as you'll see in just a minute, the bombers deal legit damage as well. Perhaps the Khorne halberds would just get blasted and the crabs could still chad through, but we'll see. Right now, the blues are going to be sheeting my units in fire, absolutely just blasting them, burning them to pieces, and the health damage is horrendous. That being said, once we get into range, I'm going to keep the health bars up a little bit, and you can see one volley there manages not only to break the barrier, but also do about more than half HP damage to some blue horrors, about half HP damage in other cases. So just wanted to show you that extreme damage, and we'll get back into the cinematic cam, because Tzeentch against gunpowder factions is very pretty, and crabs are also very fun. So there you go, Captain comes through, is going to duke it out with the Cultist. It's not probably an engagement the Cultist wants to take particularly a lot in melee, but my own unit's getting savaged on the approach. And then once we get into combat, you can see the balance of power is turned against me already, given all the damage I've taken on my zombies. Like, most of my gunnery mobs just instantly died, which is fine. In the back here, the bats are trading very cost-effectively against Furies, and I always complain about how OP Furies are. Bats are one of the few units in the game that can just trade directly cost-effectively with them in the context that Furies were meant to fight in many ways. But anyway, zombies getting worn down there, more air snipe attempts. The nice thing about the gunnery mob crabs too is as they rush, the shotgunners on the back will continue firing. And I also noticed something new. I don't know if they changed this, but the crabs also have a little painted piece on the back where it shows their faction coloration. I, of course, am fighting under the standard Vampire Coast. Should be Luther Harkon's faction, technically. Yes, I probably should have taken Silostra's faction, since I can. But anyway, yeah, Fury's rushing down in here, trying to get after those bomber mobs, just grinding through. And eventually we're going to form up the Dread Crab Box, but for the time being, just getting some nice upgraded Invocation of the Heck here, keeping my crab blob topped off. Over here, the Cultist gets broken by Captain, and hopefully we're going to chase him off with some zombies. This Leviathan, though, is a little bit isolated. It's actually trading very inefficiently against some Screamers. The Screamers in a full surround here with their anti-large AP damage, along with a handful of blues also in combat. They are going to be getting constant hits all around the back. You can see these poor little zombos on the back of the shell here, just having a hard time. But a beautiful shot nonetheless. Let's get back over to the main blob. I'm going to try and get that crab over to this main blob also in just a minute, but we'll bring the camera back over there for the time being. And this heavy armor is definitely effective. Like I said, the halberds would change this, and I might change the build construction a little bit from Vampire Coast, maybe include one gun in place of one of the bombs, perhaps. It'd be a little bit interesting to try and make the cost work for that, but not sure. Maybe I would bring Vanguard's Revenge also on Silostra, just in case. even though the damage on it maybe isn't good enough right now to justify bringing it, in my experience. Lord of Change charges down once again. My opponent here is Heir of Carthage, the venerable veteran of Total War Warhammer, or just Total War YouTube in general. I've been watching him since the Rome 2 days, and a great guy in general. Been an absolute pleasure to have some games with him. And right now he's doing a great job cycle charging with that Exalted Lord of Change, taking very little HP damage on him and just keeping that barrier refreshing. That being said, his ground force is slowly getting ground down over time by the heavy crabs. And this crab here finally realizing, like, hey, you know, fighting solo against a bunch of horrors and screamers really isn't the best use of resources, so let's try and get to the main crab blob here. Finally, he does manage to reunify with his brothers and sisters and cousins and aunts and uncles and the whole family, let's say. All the crabs here are actually in the same family. They're all related. Yes, it's true. Anyway. Yeah, Lord of Change just kind of lingering in the sky, trying to figure out what to do. Balance power still slightly against me for whatever reason. I guess just because the Lord of Change is so healthy. But he's starting to run out of Winds of Magic. Managed to block that from Silostra and have it hit the secondary crab here, which is getting alarmingly low on HP. But now that it's in the blob, a lot of the shots directed at it are going to be hitting other targets. So it should be okay. It is a field day for this pink shooting. Although they are getting quite a bit of work done. They've used up all of their ammunition for the most part. The summon from the cultist just ran out there. Another Song of Enthrallment. It's been pretty key. There's a Silostra's kit. Other than her being on the crab, like a crab monster lord, I just took the debuff. I mean, you could take the Ethereal Knight summon in this matchup, and it would be decently useful in some context, but I was just worried. Everything on Tzeentch has magic damage, so Ethereals in general seem extra risky against them. Even an Ethereal summon might not work particularly well, so I didn't even bother bringing it. You might, though. You might want to. I don't know. You decide for yourself. But in this context, it actually ended up working out okay, and what I was going to say about this Song of Enthrallment in particular is that it's been quite nice to debuff the speed of the horrors, make sure they can't get away from the crabs. Melee attack also, just to make sure the crabs are taking almost no damage in melee. And it's worked out pretty well so far. So quite the grind, but heavy armor of the crabs proving much too much for this spam of horrors here. Cultist coming back around. Captain gonna get into combat with him once again and just send him packing to the hills. Try and rip that luchador mask off and take it as a golden trophy. Also, he's got some other pretty cool baubles too. I mean, that sword's pretty nice. I'd probably take that too. Although maybe not. Might be cursed. Who knows? It is Tzeentch after all. And at this point, with pretty much no ground units remaining, the Exalted Lord of Change is going to be forced to fight. And it seems like maybe the crabs here, small crabs, crab gunnery mobs, I should say, they might have too much ammo. Like, they've somehow lasted this entire battle and not even used up half their ammo. So I don't know if there's like a bug there or if maybe they weren't firing for a good amount of that time. But regardless, Lord of Change, poor Lord of Change comes down and is just going to get absolutely circle beaten by crabs. And there he goes, falling down. He's not actually dead, but this goes on for some time. Exalted Lord of Change, definitely a tough nut to crack. Eventually, army losses will help do the job, and there you go. So a victory for Vampire Coast against Tzeentch nonetheless. Heavy crab rush proving effective. Let me know what you guys think. I mean, here, in terms of build, I mean, I might switch up the spell and ability composition just to make the Exalted Lord of Change a summoner only, then have the cultist be the main caster, slinging fireballs, taking advantage of that Wand of Whimsy. Likewise, you know, you could just trade out these Forsaken. Even though they did get a lot of kills, they didn't quite pay for themselves for the halberds. Once that DLC comes out, I don't know exactly how the cost will fall. They might be slightly more expensive, but you could maybe trade some pinks down for other things. Maybe trade one pink down for a blue. Use the extra funds to upgrade these guys to halberds. Maybe trade the screamers out also. One of them did okay. Maybe you keep one screamer to help counteract crabs also. But, yeah, just in general, I do think the warriors with halberds would make a difference here. On the flip side, I mean, I could also refine this a little bit more. Perhaps cut... in terms of abilities, though, and what not to bring here. I am pretty thinned out on characters, so I'd have to really strongly consider how would I bring a little bit of extra, maybe ranged armor-piercing damage, or maybe some more magic ability damage. Not really sure. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, though. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.